sort of getting into our last topic of discussion, Everton were just handed a pretty big points deduction. So all the Everton fans this season so far have probably been really happy with the way they've been performing under Sean Dyche, and probably thinking that they were very far away from being anything like relegated. This has been sort of a reality check for them, and I also feel like sort of a terrifying thing for your Man Cities, for your Chelseas as well. Did you feel like the 10-point deduction was valid for something like that?
I feel like it was a little bit harsh, quite 10 points. I feel like Everton Football Club has been mismanaged for a long time. The amount that they've spent on stuff is stupid. They've brought in so many players that have just been absolute flops. Didn't they pay like 40 million for Iwobi? And Iwobi's turned out was one of their better purchases, to be honest. They had a lot also of other flops.
40 million for Dele Alli.
Did they spend that much for Dele Alli?
That's how much the original agreement was. I don't know if they got out of some clauses with loaning him to Besiktas or whatever, but that was the original purchase agreement was 40 million.
So they've done stupid things, and obviously they're generating not nearly the money that the big teams are getting from being in the Champions League and different things like that. They've been sitting near the bottom of the table for a couple of seasons now, barely avoiding relegation. So I do feel like they were guilty of not following the financial fair play rules. The way that the football club was being run was very mismanaged. It was a very negative, negative profit year after year. And so, they were breaching the rules. I felt like 10 points was a little bit harsh. But if they got 10 points, it would be interesting to see what some of the other big offenders get hit with.
Yeah. And I think 10 points was on the more harsh side of the spectrum, but I feel like it's justified. I feel like teams that cheat should be punished. And it was pretty obvious to everyone that they were pumping a lot of money in and they weren't making a lot of money. So I think in that sense, if that's the rules and that's how it's been documented and they knew what they were doing and they just did it really poorly, it's unfortunate that you guys didn't have a better past couple of years performance-wise, but if those are the rules, then I definitely feel like that's justified. And especially for a lot of the top 6 clubs always saying that Man City need this, Man City need that. There's another club that has something similar. They should be held to that standard. And from what I've heard now on a lot of between news articles and different podcasts and stuff and statements from the bodies that govern the Premier League, there's no longer a court of arbitration. So cities will probably, apparently, it's more likely for them to get charged now than anything else. I don't really know the in and outs that much to the legal inner workings of football and stuff like that. But do you feel like 1 relegation, 2 relegations? What do you feel like is something that would be fair for a club that allegedly it's 115 charges, but if they were convicted of all of those things, do you feel like a double relegation would be fair? 1 relegation?
Double relegation? They go all the way down to League One? I don't think they would do something as harsh as that. But yeah, I feel like if 10 points is the deduction that they gave that they gave Everton, I think there's going to be some pretty hefty fines, and a relegation wouldn't be out the question for City. And I mean, even they haven't been quite as bad recently. I feel like they dropped a ton of money in for a long time. Recently, they've started selling quite a few players, and um, where their net spend isn't as egregious as some other clubs. Like our net spend has been higher than City's the last couple transfer windows, I believe. Just because we don't make very much money off of Arsenal's great at ripping up people's contracts and dropping a crap ton of money to do so. So we are not very savvy when it comes to things like that. City's at least recently been able to sell some really good players like Jesus and Zinchenko and get some good cash, but they've committed a lot of they've broken plenty of rules, and I think there's going to be some hefty fines and possibly a relegation coming their way. And maybe on the UEFA side, I've heard that being kicked out not being able to compete in the Champions League and different things like that is possible. It remains to be seen, though. I care more about Chelsea getting fined, though, because I really hate Todd Boehly. I hate Chelsea Football Club anyway.
Yeah.
But Todd Boehly, I would love to see Chelsea get charged with the stupid management that has happened since he's become the owner of Chelsea.
I feel like they're in a lot better spot now than they have been, even though they are sitting in the bottom half of the table right now.
Chelsea, they've looked strong the last few games. So,
and this has been the run of games that everyone's been looking at and being like, how are you guys going to pick up any points here? And we'll see how they do when they come across those low blocks again, because for them it was really hard breaking those down and playing against the more offensive teams, which they've been playing a lot of the top 6 teams. It's been
they have a harder time against people that sit deep. They have a really hard time like breaking apart those rock solid defenses. They've done really well actually at teams that are going for the win rather than a nervy draw. So.
Yeah. No, that's very true. And I would be really happy to see either or both of those teams relegated. It'd be great. We might finally get our hands on a freaking trophy. Or
would you accept that? Would you feel satisfied winning a Premier League title without City and Chelsea?
Yes. Genuinely, like if you've cheated to get to this spot and we've had to like play by the rules for the past 10 years, obviously you guys are gonna be in a better spot. Would I feel better if we won the Premier League against Chelsea and City? Yeah. But if we win it, I don't think there's an asterisk or anything like that. You should have run your clubs honestly.
Yeah, that would be a bit of an asterisk in my mind. Just thinking, would we have won it? Were we the best team, really? Or is the best team sitting in the championship? You know what I mean?
That's
possibly. Fair. Yeah.
But yeah, I think we'll have to wait and see how the season goes. Hopefully these sort of allegations maybe play an impact on the transfer window coming up in January. There's been some Tony rumors between us and Chelsea. So, yeah, I think we'll just have to wait and see, and also see how kind of the next, I guess, third of the season kind of shapes out, and then how the transfer window goes.